Well, we have Rich Rivera here, who's one
Pleasure
of
being
our
here.
ongoing and faculty members and mentors who introduced to us the importance of music and opening any sessions. And it seemed incredibly relevant here for those of you who remember, mostly hopefully, or have heard, Fannie Lou Haber was a leading civil rights organizer and activist. She was born in Ruleville in Sunflower County in Mississippi and became a national figure. And just fortunately, a book finally came out about her biography last year called Until I'm Free. And she would start every gathering she addressed, and she addressed many gatherings, with singing this song and inviting everybody else to join her. And it seemed relevant because voting rights was her primary activity, and what could be more appropriate than that now. And she sang it to remind us of the strength that we have within us to take on some of the issues that have resurged, such as the voting rights, but also the work everybody does here. So we thought we'd open up by that session. So welcome, everybody. This is just such a joy to see you all here. We have our graduating fellows. We've had 3 virtual cohorts. Can you imagine? We kept on going. And we're joined today, yay, Marcus. We're joined today by some of our faculty, our mentors, family and loved ones of some of our graduating fellows. You are all incredibly welcome. It's just, it's so great. Forgive me, I will try not to get emotional. It's one of the joys we have of this ceremony. So I want to formally welcome you on behalf of the New York Community Trust, the Robin Hood Foundation, who has just come in as one of our second major supporter, and at Brew College, the Mark School of Public and International Affairs and its Center for Nonprofit Strategy and Management. And we want to welcome you to but most importantly, to congratulate our fellows from the last 3 cohorts that we are so proud to have today. So if I could ask everybody to unmute yourself, and let's give a warm welcome to all the fellows that are among us today, past and present. Okay.
Congratulations.
To quote Muhammad Ali, who needs no introduction, to our fellows, you are the greatest. At every juncture, you have demonstrated the most important qualities of leadership: an unfailing authenticity, passion, and drive for justice. You have persevered despite the multiple challenges that New Yorkers have had to face over the last 2 years. Most importantly, your organizations and their constituents, their staff, and their board have served not only as a safety net for the most vulnerable New Yorkers, but what I like to say, a trampoline to rise them up, to help them reach heights they have not been able to reach before. I give a particular shout out to our arts and culture organizations, because I feel, in spite of all the obstacles they face, you have been the balm of our soul throughout this entire period, as you are before and after. It's incredible for us that we were established 8 years ago, and our 15th cohort will be starting this spring. And a statistic that I find just incredible is we have 379 alumni now from 250 flagship organizations in the nonprofit space in nonprofit New York. Can you imagine? We're joined here by Pat Jenny and Pat Swan, and they were on the ground floor. They are referred to as the 2 Pats. And I don't think we ever envisioned that we would be entering our 8th year and have accomplished so much. Let me just, excuse me, I'll check my. We also want to give a special shout out to the CEOs and directors of the executive directors that nominated the fellows. I hope we know for every day that that your knowledge about pinpointing emerging leaders was right on, because we keep every week hearing about promotions and among our different fellows. I've already mentioned Pat and Pat. Pat Jenny has retired. Pat, how many years ago was it you retired? For 3 years? Sorry. But she was at the birth, as was Pat Swan, to our effort. And we're so glad that Pat Jenny can come back and for this joyous occasion. We also want to give a shout out to the Robin Hood Foundation. They're the second foundation to come on board. They just came on board this past cohort, and now grantees of Robin Hood, just like grantees of the New York Community Trust or community partners, what we might call, are in fact eligible to be participants in the upcoming fellowships. And I would have to, with great glee and joy, recognize the staff team that, and I must say, in my entire career of over, oh my God, 50 years in the nonprofit and foundation sector, I've never been so fortunate to have such a dedicated, hardworking, creative, and committed staff. And let me take a moment. Yeah, you'll hear more. Brian Lewis, who's our Deputy Director. Shell Ho, who is our Communications Director. And that's not sufficient to describe all that she does. Arden Armbruster, who is a graduate student at Marx, who we've had the pleasure of having. And I can't see, Shell, do you see, is Dia Bolton on? Dia Bolton is our intern from Seton Hall, our second intern who has worked with us. And that has been such, I can't begin to give you the terms of how high functioning, but also the creative juices and commitment they bring to this effort. So let me again invite you all to unmute yourself and applaud yourselves, our mentors, our staff, our faculty. Okay, you give us such satisfaction to anybody involved in this program to know that how you've filled our lives with hope and joy, and just witnessing what you all have done has been a true inspiration. So let me now turn it. Oh, I was now going to turn it over to our deputy
remarks.
I'm sorry. I'm now going to turn it over to Brian Lewis, our deputy, who will be the official MC for this evening. Brian.